Glad you could join us. Now, the high cost of fertilizer provided by government has compelled some cocoa farmers to resort to using animal dung on their farms as manure. In 2016, cocoa farmers have had to pay for fertilizer initially supplied for free by government. This follows a revelation from Cocoa Board that only 55% of farmers benefited from the free fertilizer distribution scheme. Prince Appiah has been engaging some farmers and officials of Cocoa Board. Now reports.
Cocoa farmers in Ghana face many challenges, including bad roads. Charles Jemfi is chief farmer in Tano North District of Bunahafu region.
Sometimes you have so many yields, but to convey it from your farm to the nearest roadside, it's a difficult. You have to go and carry it on your head. So what that the government is saying he's doing is not helping the farmers. The farmers need the one leading our cottages. Look at where you are coming, the road you pass through. If you construct Accra Tama Road, you construct the major road, that is the highways roads. The big road, you say you are constructing Cocoa Road. What cocoa is there? This is the place where cocoa is. So if you are saying you are going to construct Cocoa Road, see the farmers and let us identify you the roads. That this is.
He is one of the many cocoa farmers who have resorted to using animal manure on his farm due to high cost of fertilizer. It follows government decision to ask cocoa farmers to pay for fertilizers initially supplied for free. Though government believes the move would ensure fertilizer reach those who really need it, the cost has become a disincentive.
We are asking government to reduce the fertilizer for us again. I think the government has reduced it to 80 Ghana, but we also feel that we have to come down again because it's very high to the farmers. Yeah, that's why I prefer to apply manure, organic manure. That's a poultry feed manure, because the cost of the fertilizer is high, and if the fertilizer itself, if you didn't get the rain, it have effect on the land, but manure have no effect on the land. So I prefer all these people have apply manure.
Cocoa Board wants cocoa farmers to negotiate with officials to address the challenge. Ni Takiotu is regional manager.
For the road networks, we collaborate with the assembly. In fact, some of us, those of us in the region, we talk to the assembly to help. Because if you want cocoa road, for instance, we can champion it. It is the district assembly that will apply. You see, not only the cost of inputs, but the right input. For instance, farmers are to establish in every district an input shop under Kokoshi. Kokoshi is a Cocoa Coffee Shenat Farmers Association. They have to establish in every district an input shop, and they don't do it.
Prince Appiah reporting.
Away from that, Minister for Communications, Ursula Osu-Ekufo, has added her voice to the defense of the controversial Ghana-US military cooperation agreement. The minister posited a key reason for government signing the agreement is because Ghana does not have the requisite security capacity to defend itself in the event of any crisis. She made the argument on the BBC World Questions program, which was recorded here in Accra at the British Council.
We're living in an increasingly dangerous neighborhood where the terrorist activity around us and on our borders in Cote d'Ivoire and in Burkina Faso, we've seen an increased military activity, terrorist activity. We may not be able to have the capability on our own to resist that, to have forward knowledge of or advanced intelligence about those activities. We do need international cooperation to fight transnational organized crime and terrorist activity.
Sorry,
and that's exactly what we're doing.
Let me just pursue that a tiny bit further then. Are you saying that you can envisage a situation where not only training happens of Ghanaian troops, but that American soldiers join Ghanaians either using intelligence or using weapons to assist Ghanaian defense?
We are not at the point where we have to actively defend ourselves. We do need the intelligence that the U.S. and other friendly countries can provide us that we may not have the capability of acquiring on our own. But if it comes to actively defending ourselves, yes, not just the U.S., but all other friendly countries will be called in aid. And I think that's what military cooperation agreements over the years, which we have been willing parties to have done. This is nothing new.
Meanwhile, there were some dissenting views that came up during the debate on the controversial Ghana-US military cooperation agreement, which topped other issues which were addressed at the first edition of BBC's World Questions program in Ghana. This program saw ordinary citizens quizzing a panel of key state actors drawn from government, political opponents, religion and civil society on both local and international issues. There's more in the following report.
The entire debate was led with questions from the audience. The first one was on the controversial Ghana-US military deal and what the panelists believe its impact will be. Here's what transpired.
Right, Simons, what do you think?
Fascinated by these grandstanding politicians, as always, you know. If you compare the quality of the agreements that we have with the US since 1998 to those that other countries have with the US, ours is not of the requisite quality. And that's from 1988.
Okay.
So the political elite has to acknowledge that they've not done right by us as a starting point. As a starting point.
The partisan approach in discussing this issue is what is creating confusion. I'm confused, and I believe that most of you here are confused. And sometimes it's a very deliberate attempt by our politicians to make sure we don't understand what is going on, and then they pass it through and everybody keeps quiet. What Ghanaians are asking for is the balance between security and national sovereignty.
We have always had to give them some privileges to be able to do the work that they are doing. We have also enjoyed some privileges in return. At which point have we ceded our sovereignty to any of them? And that is the argument that I really, frankly, don't quite get.
Back to the audience for reactions.
Do the public of Ghana know the intelligence that our security agencies have received in the past from the US to help us keep the peace that we enjoy today?
And the guy over there in the very Ghanaian shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Hello, my name is Dandas Wega. I want to ask, why does the US want to build a military base in a shithole country?
Joyce Baumukhtari responded to the last question about the US president's vulgar description of Africa.
Unfortunate comments, uncharacteristic of any American president that we've ever actually encountered. But of course, this is a totally different administration. It actually brings into question, really, why we still want to put aside our national interests, our national sovereignty, and subject ourselves regularly to this sort of comments by a leader of a country that we consider as an ally.
Forgive me, you've sort of changed your tune, haven't you? There you were in government, quite happy to surrender your sovereignty, and now you're starting to say, oh no, we're not going to do that.
Well, on this point, Jonathan, I think I'll disagree. I do think that we do have existing agreements that have been here in the past. In terms of military cooperation, we have always indeed had military cooperation, not just with the US, but several other countries. I believe that this particular agreement, as it describes itself in its preamble, is an enhanced agreement. It does contain other portions that are separately different from what we had before.
After this subject, the debate focused on other matters, including the future of LGBTQ in Ghana, Ghana Beyond Aid, and gender. What did the audience who led the debate think about the program?
My best responses were to that of the LGBTQ. I think the overwhelming majority view my stand. Where I wasn't satisfied with the issues around sanitation and Ghana Beyond Aid.
There were a few views that the audience weren't in support of, but I think generally it was good.
BBC World Questions has been to a few other countries, so why Ghana and why now? Producer Charlie Taylor explains.
Ghana is at a really interesting stage. The government, still relatively new, has made some grand claims and grand ambitions. Move Ghana beyond aid to put a factory in every district of the country, it's a good time to critique what's going on. What we hope to achieve is to demonstrate to a world audience the kind of issues, the kind of place in development, the kind of things that energize Ghanaians, but at the same time show what Ghanaians think about world issues. So we talked today about America's economic sanctions or tariffs against China. We talked about military deals, worldwide deals. We talked about issues which are international as well as domestic. So there's two things. Show the world what goes on in Ghana, but also what Ghana thinks about the world.
The BBC World Question programme airs 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. on Saturday on the BBC Radio World Service. You're still watching Joy News today. Let's move to another key issue, because stakeholders continue to debate the readiness of Ghana to adopt and implement biotechnology and genetically modified organisms in the country. After several years of back and forth on the matter, a meeting called by the National Biosafety Authority aimed at finding common ground failed, as panelists were divided on the need for GMO in Ghana. There's more in this report.
The seminar, which sought to find a common ground for the adoption of biotechnology and genetically modified organisms in the country, witnessed a divided frontier as stakeholders involved in the conversation took turns to agree and disagree with each other's presentation. Socio-economists and scientists were of the view that biotechnology and GMO is the way to go if the country seeks to advance its agricultural outputs.
With this technology all over the world, there are several crops which have been genetically engineered. By 2013, 175 million hectares, over 100-fold increase. One of the fastest advanced technologies, all because they put in place the rules and regulations to govern this kind of technology. So now all these crops are genetically engineered, and it's solving problems. All these, maybe next Valentine we should have some blue roses instead of red roses.
However, there was another part of the panel who vehemently disagreed with the concept of adopting GMO, saying Ghana as a country is not ready and prepared to adopt the concept.
We believe that we are not even at the point where Ghana needs to be considering GMO, given the real facts on the ground about agriculture. If you look at our agricultural sector, the things that plague agriculture, plague our production, have to do with access to land, access to credits, the availability of infrastructure like roads, warehousing to minimize post-harvest loss. These are the critical on-the-ground roots problems with our agriculture, and genetically modified organisms are not going to solve any of these problems. This issue of GMO in Ghana, we are not at the point yet.
Going in for the claims that GMO is around us. It's not around us. It will only be around us when we bring it in. Because in Africa, how many countries are going in for GMO? Just very few, about 2 countries. And some are even withdrawing. So why should we make the case as though it is around us and we have no choice? Even if it's around us and it does not inure to our benefit, must we be stampeded by the fact that it is around us? These are the practical things we need to do to address our socio-economic needs as a country.
After many years of debating the benefits and consequences of adopting genetically modified organisms in Ghana, stakeholders like the National Biosafety Authority, as regulators of GMO activities in the country, says it will continue to engage Ghanaians through its sensitization program until a definite decision on GMO is achieved. Reporting for Joy News, Charity Emihil Battels.
As you're watching Joy News today, my name is Daniel Daze. I will take a few important messages, but then stories gone by so far. Minister for Communications, Ursula also Ekofo, has added her voice to the defense of the controversial Ghana-US military cooperation agreement. Still up ahead in the bulletin, we'll take you to the northern region where chiefs of Tripoli are resisting any attempts to, in their words, twist their arms into joining the soon-to-be created northeastern region. That's up ahead. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the continuous extortion of money from hawkers plying their trade on the streets of Accra metropolis by the task force is encouraging the hawkers to stay on the pavements. The AMA in years past has made several attempts to rid the streets of hawkers and ease human traffic on the pavement in particular. But this dream is far from being achieved as the hawkers persist in their activities. Joy News' Ruby Boafo has more in the following report.
Traders kicked out from the central business district are back. Earlier this year, the Accra mayor, just like previous mayors, pledged to clear hawkers off the streets. As it looks now, they're not going anywhere soon. Their presence makes it difficult for pedestrians to navigate the pavement freely, creating serious congestion. They have admitted the task force harass and extort monies from them.
I only sold 10 cedis. The task force took it from me and gave me this piece of paper saying that when I add 5 Ghana cedis, I will take my license. They will come for our money. They need to stop it. Yesterday, they came for my goods and still demanded 5 Ghana cedis. They always sack us from the pavement. They take money from us for tickets and allow us to sell from 4:30 to 5, but later sack us when it's 6:30 a.m. We will gladly relocate if they provide us with a market. Some of us don't have anybody to support us. I am a widow, struggling.
They are molesting us because they allow their cars and then with their men chasing us everywhere. And it's too alarming for us. We can't even hold it. It's too much. And we want the government to come in to intervene. Inside the market is very full. The place is full. And sometimes we don't have places there. So we have to come to the roadside and helping all those pedestrians who are also passing. This place is so spacious that they can rule lines for us and then we can demarcate a place for the pedestrians to pass.
The mayor of Accra, Ni Ejesoa, sensing that his decongestion drive has failed, held a meeting with the traders.
All the leaders of the market here, it's up to you to decide, say,
All the leaders of the market here, it is up to you to decide which place will be a pedestrian walkway. If we decide to fill every space here, where will people pass to buy your products? We leave it to the people of the market to decide. But to just suggest that you want to sell on the streets, that is completely impossible. That is unacceptable, and we will not give you the permission to sell on the streets.
This is completely impossible. That is not acceptable. To sell on the streets.
Time will tell whether traders will truly be off the pavements of Accra. Ruby Boafo's report for Joy News.
To the northern region now, where chiefs in the Tripoli district of that area say they won't resist any attempt to stage manage the process to, in quote, twist their arms into joining the northeastern region. According to the chiefs, the few people who are pursuing their personal agenda could create a serious conflict in the region. This came up at a press conference in Tripoli addressed by the regent of the town, Jaminja Malba Yombu. Let's go live to Joy News' Hashmi Mohammed for more. Hashmi, why are the chiefs opposed to them being added to the new region?
Well, the chiefs have welcomed government's decision to create new regions or to divide the northern region, but they are saying that they are against any attempt to have them join any region that will see them lose their loyalty to the people of the ground. They are saying that if they are allowed to join the northeastern region, then that means that their loyalty will now be shifted to the people of the Mampusis, and that is what they are against.
Right, so this is about allegiance to their tribe in particular?
Yes, because they say that they want to remain with the people of Dagbon and then be part of the Eastern Corridor region, but not the Northeastern region.
Right. How does the separation of the region affect the placement of the tribe?
Well, in the northern region here, virtually all the traditional councils value their lands very, very well, because the supremacy of every traditional council is about their land. You recall some early this year that the traditional council issued a statement saying that they have welcomed government decision to divide the northern region, but they will not cede their lands or lose any of their lands to any traditional council. Even a while ago, they issued another statement, that the traditional council issued another statement reaffirming their position, and they are accusing some government officials who are meddling in the issue to have them lose their lands in the Cherkone area.
Is it the case that the Justice Bobe Commission has communicated to these chiefs in any way that they cannot have lands belonging to the Dagbon Traditional Council across the regional border if and when the new region is created?
According to the regent of Cherkone, that they petitioned the committee for the creation of the new region, stating all their position, the reasons why they don't want to be part of the Northeastern region. But they never had any reply from the committee. And to them, the fact that they never had any reply means that their petition has not been addressed, and that has necessitated the reason for them to hold this press conference.
So it's an issue they raised and the committee has not addressed it yet?
Exactly.
Right. Thank you very much, Hashmi Mohammed, for joining us. He's our correspondent in the northern region. Imagine being full of life and all of a sudden you wake up one day to realize that apart from losing your sight, you are partially paralyzed. That is exactly the condition of 29-year-old Miriam Enza, an old student of Fijai Senior High School in the Second Ita Metropolis. Miriam has been living with the condition for the past 11 years because of her inability to afford the medical bills. Her last review required that she pays 30,000 Ghana cedis for treatment. Miriam has since never returned to the hospital due to her inability to raise the needed funds. And Athalia Kwanta has more in the following report.
In her yellow Lacoste, she opens the door to have fresh air. Full of smiles, but find it difficult to make a step further. Josephine Donko helps her out like a walking stick, and I kept wondering. Just a minute's walk in the compound, she looks very tired. I am told she is blind and partially paralyzed.
And the Miriam I knew back then was full of life. She was popular amongst the students and the teachers. I think the last time I saw her was in 2007 when we went to check our results. And she always joked about going to University of Ghana, and she would always say that I want to be at the back seat. She always wanted to sit at the back seat of the Legon lecture hall. She can recognize us by the voice, but she can't see. And I think half of her head too is no more there. She needs to have a surgery. But as at last year when we came to see her, she was undergoing physiotherapy, but because of problems with money, she had to stop one place. I can just imagine what she's been going through all these years. So.
For 11 years, this 29-year-old beautiful girl has been living in this confined room. This, she says, is as a result of an operation which was done on her head at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital in 2007.
Challenges about Oshasino. Na me school. Ah, me jina me nanzo. Na challenge start say that I challenges no start say na me kwa ko bometer. Me kwa ko bometer. Inti wobo mitriana. Me feel that something is wrong with me. Inti meka that I excuse myself to go to the washroom. Inti me kwai no na minsa na minan. Oh shake dama echina ojaye. I'm fine yet anything serious. Inti me ba me kwai no me continue with my hair. Inti dano na me too dano na me too I went to Takrady hospital. Inti me kwai no na doctor no oka de he won could X-ray. Na me be care me grandma. Muko chair no me the come doctor no what's in there bibia like nothing is wrong with me. But still me feel pains in womitrim. Me feel pains womitrim na doctor no or refer me to.
Our condolences there to Miriam. May she get well soon. Now, moving on, a young poet, Subbu Tea, has laid down her thoughts in a poem addressing the U.S.-Ghana military deal. If you are a lover of words and poetry, then it should not be difficult to decode where she stands with the issues. Her poem is entitled The Four Cardinal Points.
Them all embedded in my ears, a strategic weapon to allay my fears. I hear a hoarse voice reddened with lost victory history. I count on every single archival instrument to base my argument, to crown it with the perfect discernment. But after every single argument, I am faced with disappointment. Manso's last part, the no-return slave part, the also just unsettled grievances, 1948 hindrances, discrepancies from Abola to Subbu Tea, filled with Amale, and it took one man with an extraordinary haircut to pronounce freedom.
The black man is capable of managing the whole of earth.
Now I question our freedom to wake up one day and eat watching across blood-filled gutters. Tune the radio to ambulance music, buy cocoa and kosa with gun pellets, all because of someone's British selfishness. This is the word of the Old Testament. The four cardinal points are in my head, from the streets of Abola. Common good to outdo the ugly, drive away the nasty, and attain perfection like a Rubik's Cube. But there comes the rats, the monsters. Now let me speak in truth's voice. They ain't working, they ain't thinking about the country, but they talking about intellect. They ain't got none at all. They've hidden their sins behind the lights, but no, we can see them. We can hear their little voices whispering behind us. We will wipe their ass back to Gonja barracks and spank them with metallic horse whips. They cannot be free. This is the word of the New Testament. Like Michali, the four cardinal points are in my head, from the streets of Abola.
Well, from the streets of Abola, we'll go to South Africa because Winnie Mandela, popularly known as Mother of the Nation, died 2nd April 2018. She died at the age of 81. She will lay to rest tomorrow, 14th April. So, the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is dispatching a government delegation to represent Ghana at the funeral in Soweto, South Africa. On the 11th of April, the South African High Commissioner in Ghana held a memorial service for the late anti-apartheid activist. Mapito Sebidi has more in the following report.
On 2nd April 2018, South Africa and the world woke up to the sad news of the death of Winnie Mandela, Mother of the Nation. The world celebrates her even more after her death. There have been countless memorial services all around the world to pay tribute to this great woman. The South African High Commission in Ghana joined the rest of the world in celebrating Mama Winnie's life. Present was First Lady of the Republic of Ghana, Rebecca Akufo-Addo. South African Deputy High Commissioner to Ghana, Thapelo Madumani, said when asked to define the late Mama Winnie, he was at loss for words. He asked how you define an extraordinary woman like her. He tried writing numerous speeches but failed to put pen to paper, and thus he spoke from the heart.
Oh, Mama Winnie, you really did love your people. You loved your people so much. You sacrificed your freedom, your family, your own happiness. She stood by her people. She was from a generation of giants, women who walked this earth without an excuse or apology to anybody. Women hold up half the sky. And with us, they held up half the struggle for liberation. For that, we have a saying in South Africa, watinta bafazi, watinti mbogodo. You strike a woman, you strike a rock.
Cecilia Ebena-Dapa, Minister of Aviation, said the world has lost a courageous woman who remains a source of inspiration and hope to all people.
Winnie Mandela shall forever remain in our hearts as an icon of strength, strong will, and dedication to the cause of freedom and justice for all Africans and the people of Africa. Namzamo Winifred Madikizela Mandela, the anti-apartheid campaigner and stalwart and mother of the nation of South Africa, would be dearly missed.
South African Yolanda Zeleka, Chief Executive Officer of Vodafone Ghana, said Winnie showed the world what courage, love, and commitment was, an inspired woman to possess these characteristics. In an emotional speech in her mother tongue, Yolanda expressed gratitude to Mama Winnie.
Sithi kuwe ndinga ndaka ndini ndinga hlala apho esibhakabhakeni.
We say to you, fly, shine bright up in the sky, and when you come back as the rain.
Imvula yoxolo uzise intembeko uzise nokugqoka emzansi weAfrika.
Rain of love, rain of forgiveness. Bring back hope to South Africa.
Usibonise imimangaliso. Halala mama wethu. Halala.
Mama, you have run your race. A minute of silence was observed for her. The First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo and others gathered to sign the book of condolence. Mama Winnie has not died, but she has multiplied and she lives in all of us. Robalaka khotso Mama Winnie. Rest in eternal peace, Mother of the Nation. Mapito Sibidi for Joy News.
And may her soul rest in perfect peace. It's now time for business with Emmanuel Abajoyafi.